Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And today, we could be dead in 10 years. Gotta love that. Thank you very much, AI. And let's dive into this because, quite frankly, this is interesting, a little terrifying, but we're going to see what happens here. Now, with that, let's turn to the Telegraph's Tom McArdle that had a really interesting write-up on this about Professor Geoffrey Hinton. Now, he basically admittedly regrets his part in creating artificial intelligence as we know it today. And he has likened the rapid development of basically AI to the Industrial Revolution, but warned that the machines could take control this time, because obviously AI is AI, right? So, first and quickly, let's talk about his contributions to artificial intelligence because they were both foundational and remarkable as well. Now, in the 1980s, Hinton invented a method that can autonomously find properties in data and identify specific elements in pictures, which, as I said, was foundational to the development of modern artificial intelligence. Oh, and he was also just awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics this year. So this guy is no slouch. Let's just be perfectly honest. If you're winning Nobel Prizes and are foundational to artificial intelligence, you're going to know your stuff. Now, he's also calling for tighter government regulation of artificial intelligence development and their firms, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Now, Hinton had previously predicted that there was a 10% chance that artificial intelligence could lead to the downfall of humanity within 3 decades, and asked on BBC Radio's 4 program known as Today if anything had changed in his analysis. He said, and I quote, "Not really. I think 10 to 20 years, if anything. We've never had to deal with things more intelligent than ourselves before. And how many examples do you know of a more intelligent thing being controlled by a less intelligent thing? There are very few examples." Now, I think he's completely right. If you think about it, this is truly a revolution in the sense that this is the first thing humanity has created that essentially can make decisions on its own. That is something that is, I think, revolutionary in and of itself when you put it into that kind of context, which means the AI can think for itself in some way, shape, or form. Now, is it fully formed like a human at this time? No. Are we moving towards artificial general intelligence that makes it a whole lot closer to us? Absolutely. They all want to get there. My God, Mark Zuckerberg wants this thing, which is terrifying in and of itself. So this is essentially where we are going. Now, Hinton also predicted that AI would change our lives, just our day-to-day lives dramatically, just as the Industrial Revolution did. He also said that the future, basically that what the future held for life with technology would, and I quote, "depend very much on what our political systems do with this technology. My worry is that even though it will cause huge increases in productivity, which should be good for society, it may end up being very bad for society if all the benefit goes to the rich and a lot of people lose their jobs and become poorer. These things are more intelligent than us. So there was never any chance in the Industrial Revolution that machines would take over from people just because they were stronger. We were still in control because we had the intelligence. Now there's a threat that these things can take control, and that's one big difference." And I think that's 100% correct because I think it really bolsters that. And this is a conversation that I've had basically on this channel with these types of segments on my radio show forever, in the sense that, quite frankly, what are we going to do? We are already seeing jobs being lost as a result of this. Look at translators around the world. AI is absolutely amazing at it. Why would you become a translator? And those existing translators are eventually just going to be fired because it's cheaper to use artificial intelligence. Not to mention assistants, other things, menial tasks. Like there's a whole bunch of different realms that this can be had in, not to mention warfare. I've talked about that as well. And so by virtue of that, we're not stopping having kids. We're letting them, meaning the AI and eventually the robotics, do a lot of the work for us. And so by virtue of that, where does that leave the population if we can't get jobs? Is it universal basic income? How are we going to basically subsist with this? And so I think this is one of those big questions for the age. But when you're also thinking about this, look at when humans were evolving and the Neanderthals, they really aren't around anymore. Some of us have some of their DNA, but for the most part, they're gone, right? And what did you have? You had basically humans with more developed brains, basically able to create tools, more intuitively, fight a war against the Neanderthals, and we wiped them out. That's essentially what happened. And that's by all rights what could potentially happen here. We stick them in robots, we give artificial intelligence the ability to think and then think for itself autonomously. And by virtue of that, at some point, it may think we're a waste of space. I mean, if you think about it, in terms of climate change, because it doesn't have emotions, empathy, or compassion for anything, if you ask it what's the fastest way to solve climate change, the default answer is kill all humans. And so here we are, Skynet 101. So I think this is going to be a real issue. Government regulation, I think, is needed, but the problem is we also have escalating competition for this across governments. Not all governments agree. And when you are building autonomous weapons faster, further, the Chinese just made a breakthrough and calculation, processing, all that. That was almost a segment I was going to do today. And so by virtue of that, not everybody's going to play by those rules, which means nobody's going to play by those rules in order to keep up, because otherwise we have one country dominating, and then, God forbid, the Terminators come. So we'll see what happens here. This is, I think, the question for our ages. 2024 is the year that just made all of us insane with artificial intelligence, and it's quite frankly not going to slow down for 2025. So here we are. Best of luck to us all, and quite frankly, save me some room in the bunker and a little bit of ammo, because I'll help you fight back. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP while we still can, and you should watch me at YouTube as well, where I'll tell you about the incoming Armageddon. And I'm also on Blue Sky and Mastodon now. This is really getting long at this point. But as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. And if you see Arnold Schwarzenegger, give him a hug. Take care.